Hi. This lesson is about operational initiatives, the path chosen towards organizational excellence. And the concepts I want to discuss today: operational initiatives, management fads, one size does not fit all, the soft and the hard, the strategic and the tactical, the dimensions of the learning organization and maturity level. It is a short lesson, but certainly addressing a topic of concern to all organizations, and very strategic in nature as well, as operational excellence is a sustainable source of competitive advantage for those few organizations that manage to get it, or to be on the path towards, because it is a never-ending path, of course. Allow me to make another metaphor, if you will bear with me. What we want are these apples, of course, and the ones on top, better, juicy, lots of sun, beautiful red. Call them the CTS, critical to satisfaction. Call the branches then the metrics, the KPIs that will measure these things and drive us toward these things. And then the trunk is the processes. And we need to find the roots of it. CTPs, critical to process. As you know, you don't make a tree grow by pulling on it. You make it grow by finding the key roots and understanding how they work and feeding them. And of course, you'd like to pick and you should pick the apples that are down there first. If you go for these apples with all these apples on the ground lying around, people will say, well, why don't we start by picking those up rather than going to complex methodologies and stuff while we have these immediate opportunities. Then we'd like to pick the apples that are right up here, low-hanging fruit, so-called, with simple methodologies, but difficult social challenge. And as we develop the ability to do that, we'll develop the ability as well to go to more sophisticated methodology, fix systematically broken processes, and fix them better over time. Double loop learning. Improve your capability to improve. And of course, then you want to go to the design, the more complex, the more challenging, where the air is more rarefied, where few organizations are able to succeed. You certainly don't want to start with this. That's a non-starter. You want to start here, and you want to understand the logic that I've been explaining and developing throughout the various lessons and throughout the book. There are many initiatives out there. Total quality management for many years, many decades really. Activity-based costing, activity-based management, the development of various standards, ISO and company, Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, Lean Six, theory of constraints, and so on. They're all discussed briefly in the book, and there are two risks here. One is to adopt then wholesale. We've been doing ISO 9000 for the last few years, but forget about it. That's a mistake, you know. It's got to be Six Sigma. Forget about everything you've learned. And a few years down the road, well, no, in fact, we were wrong. It's called really Lean Six Sigma, or whatever you will call it. That's a big mistake. People will become rightly cynical. The other mistake is to throw away the baby with the bathwater. Nothing new under the sun. It's always been the same. We've always known it. Not so. I've had the chance over the years to serve these many waves, from the social technical system to just-in-time. As you see, there are waves over time. They do fade away. New ones are born. And the good new ones will incorporate the best of this and add what we were missing in the past. Indeed, while building on previous knowledge, each waves bring new things that we didn't know. So we do improve over time, but there is, if you want to be a bit cynical about it, a tendency to reinvent things as well. Thus, the middle ground, be eclectic. We have learned, I certainly have over the years, as we thought we had it all until we realized there's a major failure, a major thing missing, a major aspect that we're not doing in the tack we have, and then we find a better way to do things. Beware of the freshly printed consultant card with a newfangled name. But be curious about it. What's new exactly that we didn't know before? And don't let yourself be taken by words that appear exciting and new and intriguing. Speak to me in English. What does it mean? If you've done ISO 9000, for instance, you've done quite a bit. And if anyone brings you a new initiative, cannot explain what new tools, what new approach, what new angle this is bringing without throwing away what we had and that works, then forget about it. One size does not fit all. We are different. Different organizations have different histories, different cultures. They compete in different environments. Build on your culture. Own your culture. Make sure if the new ingredient will fit your culture and your strategy and will take you where you want to go. Death Valley is where, without giving an actual percentage, I can safely say most organizations who start on these initiatives will eventually fall, because as you start, you invest. Do not trust anyone who tells you won't cost you anything. In the first year, you'll make money. Not so. If you invest, you're starting on a new initiative, you have to learn it. You have to train your people. And when you do that, you are withdrawing resources from daily operations. And there will be a drop in performance if you do it well. Know that in advance, be ready to accept it. Do not associate this drop in performance with a major flaw with whatever initiatives you have. They are built in. You're withdrawing resources, your performance should fall. And then it should pick up. So this is where most organizations, not expecting, because it's been oversold, of course, not expecting such a drop, will actually drop it. The winners are those. And I've used plenty of time the toaster metaphor, which is the equivalent of this metaphor here. Improving is never urgent. Fixing the broken output, correcting the broken output is always urgent. But if all you do is that, then the next output will be broken again until you actually focus on the process. Withdraw the resources, stop a little bit, fix it. Get the improvement whales and the gains going that you can reinvest in further process improvement. You need to create this sense of urgency, and in another video I address change management, which is really this issue here. Up here on that tree, readiness to be consistent with whatever message you're sending. That top management has taken the time to discuss it and to be consistent and willing to accept Death Valley and push forward. Stay the course. That's a change of culture, and clearly leadership is fundamental here. I recommend the Baldrige, the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award in the US. Great model, great support material, and I'm not suggesting you should go for the prize. This may be or may not be appropriate depending on what your organization is, what you're pursuing, but the model itself is great. By the way, there's also a European model that's quite equivalent. If you're in Europe, then you should know about the Baldrige thing, because they reflect differences in culture. The Baldrige is much more focused on result, more pragmatic. as is North American culture in general. Whereas the European model focuses less on result, more on processes, people, strategy. It's very interesting. There's no black and white, there's no good and bad answers here. Different cultures, one size does not fit all. You should know both. See what fits best your organization. But those organizations have resources. There's audit process, there's prices, and the material is available. It's pretty good. So I would suggest that if you look for a model for which you don't need a consultant, this is there. And there are consultants. At some point, get the right consultant to help you. But those models have not been developed by consultants. They've been helped by consultants. They're not owned by consultants. They are publicly available, and they're good. I've developed my own model, by the way. It is, again, publicly available, but not field tested with actual data to prove what works best. It is a 5-level model for 15 key attributes of improvement. So I refer you to it, will not present it you in detail. It's quite compatible with the Baldrige and the European Quality Award model. I've done this in another video, it's in the book. The ability to be strategic, to manage the technical, methodological, and the social changes at the same time. This fit, if you're missing one, nothing happens. If you're not strategic, you're doing the wrong thing right. If you are strategic but you don't have the methodological ability, you just mobilize your people, but you don't find the right process. So you see, it's a good fit. You need the tree, and you need people. Not one person can do all this. You need a team, an executive role constellation of people who will mesh, each of whom have a different capability to understand, master, and teach that angle. This is basically the logic of this book. In short, beware of management fads, but don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. But there will be new fads, there'll be new buzzwords. Be skeptical, but open to someone willing to explain in English. Plot an adapted path toward operational excellence, adapted to your culture, your environment, your strategy. Don't let anyone mess with your culture. There are several good reference models out there. Select the one that best fits your reality and needs. It is not necessarily the most expensive. The highest paid consultants, great public models are available. Start with those. Start with documentation. See what's missing. And certainly there are good consultants out there as well. And by the way, you should make sure that you ask your consultant to make themselves obsolete pretty quickly. Be willing to pay them more to teach you how to fish, not to fish for you. Tendency is pretty strong because you're busy, so you'd like someone to fish for you. Pay them more for teaching you how to fish and making themselves redundant very fast. So give it your brand name, don't call it. My suggestion, don't be any brand name organization. We are a Lean Six Sigma. Give it your brand name. Why not? You're not dependent on the success of a brand name in the market. You want to introduce something that's missing in your organization, you're not dependent on the branding, the public branding of that initiative, excluding that element. The best organizations give it their brand name. Be confident, be eclectic. And that is my recommendation on this aspect. The book tried to address the DNA of operational excellence. It was there before, it will be there after. The fads will come and go. The foresighted organization will manage its culture, its cultural path. Great stuff out there for people who can look and see and be discriminate. Thank you very much. Goodbye.